Hey, awesome people, this is your boy Randy Gonzalez Jr. coming at you with another episode of Mind the Mind. I'm super excited for those of you that are listening to this episode where we talk about tips, ideas, and strategies that can create change and invoke you to live out your wildest dreams. And today's episode, it's very exciting because it's very often where we have a chance to actually meet someone where we can actually tell you their journey from a first-hand experiences versus doing the podcast with somebody who tells you a little bit about their background and whatnot. But this individual, I've actually seen firsthand go from where he's at to where he's going and where he's leading to the future. So without further ado, Mustafa Ajaj, welcome to Mind the Mind, brother.
Randy, what's going on, brother?
Oh, just having fun, man. So one thing I wanted to let you guys know, he actually owns a company in Virginia called 606 Towing. And do you mind if I tell the audience kind of how it all came about, and then I'll let you take it from there?
Absolutely.
So this is a true story. When Mustafa actually first came to me, he was looking for financing, because you guys know we do business financing, and we also do credit repair. But he was basically out and about. He had nobody that was willing to help him or assist him. He got declined by banks, he got declined by credit unions, alternative lenders, and I think he asked some of his relatives, as a matter of fact, and they're like, we don't know if we can help you, bud. So it just by, I guess, the grace of God, our paths crossed, and I said, you know what? I'm the person that can help you. And I remember he kind of laughed and said, yeah, right. I've asked everybody. I'm like, hey, man, just give me a chance, brother. I'm telling you, if I can't do it, nobody can do it. He goes, okay. So anyways, with that in mind, I'm gonna let him kind of tell a story of how we connected, and then we'll break down some questions that can really assist you guys that are actually looking as an entrepreneur to maybe start a business, grow a business, expand a business, how to never quit on a bad day. So without further ado, kind of tell your story a little bit and how it all came about, brother.
What's going on, guys? Okay, so I started a towing and transport business back in 2011. Lasted, I'm going to say about a year. Lasted about a year, and then, things kind of went sour. Now, if I known what I know now, then it'd be a different story. But, I went to the bank. So it was really some financial principle that I needed. So. Being an amateur in the business, or get into my own business, I should say, I couldn't, I went right, they said no. I went left, they said no. It was like forward, reverse. It was just like a circle. I would go to the bank, I would go to, friends, I would go to, families. I kind of was like, all right, strings cut right there. Mm-hmm. So I known Randy for a while, and I know that he was, working and in this field, and he had told me that he was, going to eventually do his, his own thing, because I guess he had the experience of so many people being denied and not knowing that there's people not knowing that there's other doors behind those closed doors that can get you access or get you, to your dream. So I'm not a quitter. I always, tried to, if somebody told me, no, you can't do it, I would do it. It would just push me that much more. So about 3 or 4 years later, after I, closed the business down, I, got my commercial driver's license. I, worked for companies, and I knew at the end of the day I wanted to work for myself. So, I did run into quite a few. I ran into quite a few dead ends, I should say, because. Like I said, I didn't know there was doors behind the closed doors. When the bank would say no, I'm like, no, there's got to be a way. I know so many people that have, okay credit or not the best credit, and they're getting, equipment financing. They're getting, loans, credit cards, whatever, it may be. So I knew there was another way out. I knew there was another way. And I think I tried to get financing to a company, and it didn't go through. So that's when I turned to Randy. Randy was like, I can help you. I'm like, yeah, sure.
and what's so funny is I remember that conversation because you did apply, and then and you actually showed me your credit report, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's not the best, and it's definitely not the worst, but it's going to take a little bit of effort, but I can help you.
Yeah.
And you tell the audience why you were so hesitant in the beginning. Like, maybe it was because, and I think this is a good lesson for a lot of people. You get knocked down 7 times, but sometimes the winning formula is when you get up 8. And I think
Yes.
that's what happened in your case.
So okay. So basically, what it was okay. I started transporting for a gentleman that like literally barely knew what he was doing, but for whatever reason, he was doing it. So I mad respect for him. I just couldn't do it. The pay was like, let me put it to you this way. So me getting my commercial driver's license was supposed to be like, a boost up. Like, okay, I was making, for example, 500 hours a week. Okay, I should be making like 1,000 doing this. It's totally different industry. I was literally making the same amount of money. So I said to myself, I was like, I got to get my own truck. So push came to shove. I used my own money. I risked my own money, all of it. I put it all on the line. I said, you know what? I'm going to make it work. I don't care. Literally, that's how I started it. But I did come into some speed bumps after getting into the business. Getting the insurance, getting the playing the waiting game. For your DOT MC number.
Right.
So the transportation business is a tough business. It is, and as fast as you come in, can be as fast as you go out.
Right.
You don't know what you're doing, or you don't have enough capital. So this one requires you to spend money to make money. So I literally put it all on the line. I started. I was like 3 months in, and then that's when you came in and said, "Hey, I can help you." And I was like, "Yeah, okay." But then I give it a chance because I said, "Well, what's the worst that can happen?" No. Okay. Well, I heard no already. Shoot, what's another no? But thanks to you, you did your thing and you showed me, hey, I can do it. We worked on, providing you what documents you needed, bank statements, stuff like that. And I was shocked. Like, I looked at my account one day, and then the next day I looked at my account, and it was just like, oh shoot, there's an extra 30 grand. I said, like, that's that's a lot of money. You know what I mean? For somebody getting in, paying up cash for a used truck, which was, a good truck.
Yeah.
But still, you know what I mean? It's almost like career suicide where you're like, okay, well, you don't have nobody to turn to.
Right.
What are you going to do? Well, that 30 grand, the next day when you get there, that's a big relief. I mean, that's my options went freaking out the roof. I have so many options now that I can do. So that's how it started, and well, it didn't end. We just continued to go with it. So
and since that time, I know we've done over half a dozen different financing from loans, working capital, things like that.
Absolutely.
We're working on building your fleet as well out too. So what you guys don't know, he's actually being very, very humble. I'm not going to discuss any income things, but let me tell you, from the time we met to now, it is way over what you guys could imagine, and where he's going in the next 12 to 24 months. He's being very humble.
You know what, man? You have to be, because a lot of people can look at you, man, and see like you going from, a lot of people don't know that, a business plan is if you don't have it down on paper, and you're just gonna kind of go with the flow, and that's easy for you to go up and come right back down.
Right.
So, when the beginning, when I started, I didn't even have. I knew what I wanted to do. It was all in here, though.
Right.
So.
And one thing I noticed about you when we first started talking as well too on this, because it's kind of funny how even your mind shifted now. You were hopeful, but your mind was still kind of negative in a way, like, oh yeah, whatever. And I remember I had a copy of one of my mentors' CDs, the 10X rule, and I said,
Yes.
You know what I'm going to do without even telling you. I sent it to you, and then after I sent it, I said, listen, bro, this is my mentor. While we're working on this, what I want you to do is cut off all whatever you're listening to. Listen to this, because it can probably help you. And then before you know it, all of a sudden, your attitude started to change, and then immediately, that's when the doors started opening up. You started to get qualified for financing. You started to get qualified for working capital. You started to get qualified for everything. It was like, wow, it's funny. Tell people how important it is to have a positive mental attitude, especially when you're building an entrepreneurial business.
Oh man, look, it's very very like okay, this type of business you have to go get it. You have to be like you have to self motivate yourself. I know it's tough. A lot of people get motivation from other people or their older siblings or their father or mother, whatever it may be. Honestly, man, I didn't have any of that due to me being in a whole different type of industry. Being an entrepreneur or trying to follow the same routes as my family did. So yeah, it is very very like if when something goes up, it does come down. But when it goes down and you keep yourself down, it's not going to help you. It's all about picking yourself up and just keep moving. There's the end game. There's the end goal there, and as long as you keep striving and pushing, without struggle, there is no success.
Right.
And I'm a believer of that right now because I went through it. And trust me, I don't wish that upon nobody. But you know what? I kept on going. This is what I wanted to do. Deep down inside of me, this is exactly what I wanted to do. So I said, I'm not going to give up. And along that, I met you. We got through the financing. Now we're working on equipment financing to add a third truck. Now, so it's been what a little over 2 years that I've known you now, 3 years,
right under 3.
Well,
yeah,
I mean, since we've been doing business.
Yeah, for sure.
I known you before that, but this is before you got transitioned into all your good resources. So it is all about who you know as well. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's always worth a shot to even if it's a no. Hey, at the end, at least you could say, you tried.
Now this next question actually I have for you, bud, is probably one of the most important questions that I'll ask you, but I believe our audience has the same question on a daily basis because they want a better life for themselves. They want a better life for their families. They desire a different scenario, but what was one of your biggest failures and what did you learn from it?
One of my biggest failures was when I bought my first truck in 2011 and, having to sell it. That was the biggest, oh man, it was not comfortable because I had to go back and work for people, which was what I was trying to get away from.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm a hard worker and when, I put in 110%, even if it's something I don't like. So, a lot of times people get taken advantage of or, don't get appreciated for what they do. And that's what I went through. So one of the biggest downfalls that I had was that. I mean, it took me about like 6 months to kind of pick myself back up and hey, okay, it's all right. Keep going. Because, I wanted things. I knew I wanted to get my own house. I knew I wanted to, first and foremost have my own business and work for myself.
So was your family supportive, or were they not supportive, or were they doubtful, or because I know even some of your families. I remember when I said we were talking about co-signers, they're like, no, that must have did something with your mind to think like, gosh, now my family's starting to not believe in me. So what was the transition?
The transition with that was, so they were supportive in the way of me trying to do my own thing,
right?
But to co-sign or to help with some money or any of that, okay, that wasn't really an option,
right?
So it sucks. It did feel horrible and not it almost felt like nobody cared,
Yeah.
But everybody has their own things that they're already going through in life, so I couldn't really take that personal. So I was just my state of mind at that time was just try to figure out a way. That's it. There's if this door closes, open up another one and just keep going.
What gave you that intestinal fortitude to keep on going during those roughest times?
Because I knew the business that I was getting into. The reason why I got into the business was because I used to actually help a gentleman. I used to ride passenger seat and actually help him, load, unload, tow cars. So I was taught it, and I knew that I had the mind for it.
Okay.
Because I enjoyed it. So I had to roll with what I knew, which was, towing and transporting, to get to, the next door that I wanted to open, the next phase of my life, or the next, opportunity that I can make for myself. So with your question, basically, I knew this is what I wanted to do and nothing else. I knew this was the great start point.
Right. So what does the future look like for Mustafa?
Oh man, a lot, man. We keep in touch very often.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. They don't.
Definitely. I mean, we're working on another truck right now, so which would be which would be number four. We'll be four trucks strong. And definitely, we're working on some real estate investing. Definitely thinking about some other businesses to open, because this company did definitely open up all their doors for me. So definitely looking into maybe some other different type of businesses. But first things first, the real estate game is coming next.
What advice would you give your younger self if we went back just 10 years getting into the game?
I would definitely have done my due diligence with the financing and knowing, where to go for, because everybody turns to the bank. Everybody always, the first thing is the credit card or the bank. Now, at that time, I didn't have a credit card. And the bank that I had, I knew I was gonna, even though I applied, I knew I was gonna get denied. So what I would suggest, if I was to go back, in 2011 or even a little bit before that, I would have really marketed myself to individuals who, knew how to get, these trucks with the bank saying no, because if one person says no, there's another person that can say yes. It's just finding that person. So finding that person, and really do your research and know what you're going to get yourself into and how much insurance is going to be, and really get into that. So it'll be a lot easier for you once you get into it. You already know the process. You already know where to go to. A, B, C, D. Business plan.
Right.
Business plan.
Okay. And then let's say someone was looking to get into trucking, like you're saying. What are some important steps? So we just talked about that. It kind of answered a little bit of the question, business plan. But what are the top 3 steps that somebody must do? Let's say if they're looking to get into trucking, because I know several people that are in trucking. They're working for somebody else, but they said, you know what, I would want to get paid for myself. I want to own my own deal. I want to take care of my family in that way, so I can rely on me. What are 3 pieces of advice you can give someone looking to get into this field? Because part of my niche that I do financing, I do a lot of trucking, I do a lot of restaurants, but I always like to hear, some advice for people that are just starting off or want to transition from working for somebody else like you did before to actually being the boss yourself.
Okay. So I would say, first of all, if you're going to get into the trucking, I'm going to speak up on myself basically from the experience that I had. Know what you're going to get yourself into. Okay. So, like I said, the first thing would be business plan, because that obviously, is going to set you in the right pattern of, know what you're going to get yourself into, how much it's going to cost, your finances, A, B, C, D. That's first, do the business plan. Second, know where you're going to get working capital or financing, because you do need it. You will need it.
Right.
It is a tough business, and most importantly, number 3, I would say you need to be mentally ready for this game, because this industry is a tough business. It's not cut out for everybody. And I know a lot of other people would say, it's the same thing for this or the same thing for restaurants. No, the trucking business, it's tough.
Right.
I would definitely recommend it for other people. I would definitely, but it is a tough business. So I would definitely say business plan, finances, and mentally. Most importantly, mentally being.
Get your mental attitude on, okay?
Yeah, you have to be, man. You have to be mentally ready for this, for any business, because if you're not 100, if your mind's not 100% in, your body won't be 100% in.
How important is credit for the listeners?
Okay, well, that's when I said finances. That's what they say. So credit.
Okay.
Credit is very important, and if you don't have credit now and you're thinking of getting into something, you shall start it like yesterday. It is very important. It's very important. Credit is, I didn't have credit. If you don't have money and you have credit, there's your way out right there. There's your way out of the situation you're in and into the better.
So you're saying so you're saying if you don't have a rich uncle, you might want to look into getting your credit squared away?
Yes, basically, yes. Because that credit score will get you to where you need to get to. I mean, people have no credit, can't get a car, can't get even a credit card.
Yeah, totally.
Credit is very important, man. Credit is number 1.
Sweet. Okay, so then let's go ahead and start going through what we're going to call. Well, first of all, thanks, man. Those are definitely valuable information that I believe people don't understand the importance They say they want to be free, they want to be independent, they want to be on their own, but they don't really understand there's a process, there's an evolution,
Yeah.
there's a so-called mystery that has to be solved ahead of time. And even in one of my books, The Unbreakable Human Spirit, I talk about borrowing from your future. And I always tell people it's okay to look into your future because that's where you're going to spend the rest of your life. Look at the possibilities, look at the angles, look at possibly what things you have to overcome, like you're talking about, getting your licensing, getting the insurance, getting your DOT. That's Department of Transportation, for those of you guys don't know. Okay. But people are like, he had a website.com. What is it? No. So,
Yeah.
but anyways, but there's definitely something. I think the most important thing out of all of it is not what you get, because I've seen you go from where you started, because I've helped you, and to where you're at now. It's who you become. And I can just tell you that you've become such a greater individual. You've become a greater man. And I know you better invite me to the wedding. Dang it! No.
Yeah, absolutely.
I gotta get my dance on. No. But the most important thing is who you become. It's a process. It's an evolution. It's everything that you've imagined, and every cycle is going to happen. I mean, who knew the cycle of the world was going to turn crazy this past year? But guess what?
Yeah.
We all learned from it. And guess what? There might be other cycles in life. It's just part of life. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, thanks, brother. I appreciate you taking
no problem,
some time out and just giving some input on what people have to look for, especially when they want to become an entrepreneur, because that's the whole purpose of Mind the Mind, because I believe we have all these great ideas that are stuck in our head. And that's where the gold is at. And if you don't mind it, if you don't think about it every day, if you don't write it down, if you don't execute on those things, that gold is just going to be there. And I always tell people the richest place in the world. I always ask people, where do you think the most wealthiest place in the world is? They're like, oh, it's I don't know. They start naming off these cities. I'm like, dude, no, it's the freaking graveyard, because people take those ideas, they take them to the grave, and they never blessed anybody. They never blessed their family with it because they weren't willing to take risks. They weren't willing to take chances. They weren't willing to find the answers that will suit them in such a powerful way. So what I'm going to do right now, brothers, I'm going to go off on what's called rapid fire questions, okay?
Okay.
This is where it starts to get fun, and you actually start to, not that it hasn't been fun, but this is where you start to think on your feet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say one word, and I want you to reply back for the first word that pops in your mind, okay? I have a series of...
word for word? Is that what it is?
Yeah. So I'm going to say a word, and you think of whatever the first thing that pops in your mind, and you give me a word back, okay?
Okay.
All right, so the first one is sales.
Sales. Money.
Well, this is actually two words for me. Personal development.
You said, what was it?
Personal development.
Personal development. I plan. Business plan. For example.
Okay,
Me.
cool. Win.
Win. Lose.
Lose.
Win.
Victory.
Victory. Success.
Defeat.
Defeat. Oh, man. Defeated. Really, man.
Okay. Love.
Oh, hate.
Food.
Greatness, man.
Financing.
Organized.
Credit.
Important.
Work ethic.
Important.
Energy.
Go get it. Go.
Routine.
Daily.
Health.
Benefit.
Spirituality.
Equality.
And last one is journaling.
Journaling. Observing.
Nice. So if somebody actually wanted to get a hold of you, or maybe, I know you're always open to help anybody you can, dude. You're just that kind of a good man that you developed to be. Or if they have questions on trucking, how can somebody actually find you online?
Facebook, Instagram. I mean, they can call me if they need to, or email me.
Okay, so what I'll do, gang, is I'll post his Facebook contact information, and he's definitely there to serve. He's a servant-driven leader. He's building a very, very successful company in the trucking business, and he's going to continue to do great things. So just want to recap kind of the things that we talked about on today. So number one, I believe, is don't quit on a bad day. You can either learn through mistakes or mentors. Find mentors to help you more, okay, quicker with less pain and effort. have a business plan that's suitable for you, because if it's not right for you, then it's not going to be right in any aspect. Get your financing together, which also means credit, and then also maintain a positive mental attitude, which is the mental toughness that it's going to take to not quit on a bad day. And I think
Absolutely.
that's about it. So, all right, brother. So definitely, I thank you, man, so much. I appreciate you, and I can't wait to continue to see where we're going to be in 2 years, 5 years, and
Oh man, I can't wait.
and loving life and living it at full throttle. So
Yes, sir.
thanks for coming on, brother. So
Thank
cool.
you. I appreciate your time and effort into this. And to any advice I can give anybody out there before I get off of this podcast is, keep your head up and keep pushing.
Absolutely. All right, there you have it, folks. There's another episode of Mind the Mind. I'm super excited for you guys to not only participate on this, but learn from this, learn the strategies, learn the techniques, learn exactly what it takes to get you from where you are to where you want to go, and do it in a process that have fun. Journal it, write it down, because I'm guaranteeing you that when you journal this and write it down, there's going to be somebody that's going to look to you as a guidance, as a mentor, and say, you know what, as inspiration, if you can do it, the best testimonial in the world is so can I. So until next time, be amazing, be great, and God bless, because you freaking deserve it. Keep rocking. Take care.